Welcome to the Daily DLP. I'm your host, Ash Thompson, and today you're going to get my immediate reaction to the Lions' 42-17 victory over the Denver Broncos. Let's get it on. All right, let's begin with the biggest turnaround in this game. Jared Goff, 24 of 34, 278 yards and 5 touchdowns. It is difficult to really critique what Jared Goff was doing in this particular game because it all worked so incredibly well. Like, yeah, in the first quarter, things weren't going real well for the Lions offense, but I have a couple theories about that I'll get to after I finish the kind of statistical rundown of how awesome their day was. Goff totally redeemed himself. Jahmyr Gibbs, 11 carries, 100 yards, 9.1 average, touchdown on the ground. What do you say about that? 9.1 yards per carry on more than 2 carries. Ridiculous day for Jahmyr Gibbs. We are witnessing the beginning of one of the better running backs in the NFL here. And David Montgomery, no slouch either. Watching the game, it looked like David Montgomery wasn't having a great day because it just seemed like every time they gave Gibbs the ball, they got 20 yards. Obviously not true, but Montgomery, 17 carries for 85 yards. That's 5 yards a pop. That is more than you signed him for. That's found money, folks. Lions had a spectacular day on the ground. That's 185 yards rushing on the day. Not one of their great days, but pretty tough to complain about that given the number of years that the Lions went without a 100-yard rusher in the not-so-distant past. In the air, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 7 catches, 112 yards, 16 average, 1 touchdown. His slowdown was obviously never going to be a long-term thing. He was just too productive for too long. But there's a reason that the record for the number of catches by a Detroit Lion consecutively, that got 4 catches in a game. Poorly phrased. But you get what I'm saying. There's a reason that was 22 games. It's really hard to produce every week. So Amon-Ra had a couple weeks where he didn't. Now he's back. No harm, no foul. Here we go. Sam Laporta also back on the day, 5 catches, 56 yards. But the more important number 3 of those catches were touchdowns. And not all of them were schemed touchdowns. He put in the effort. He got the job done himself. This isn't his biggest game in terms of numbers, in terms of catches and yardage and all of that. The volume, not necessarily, but this was probably his best game as an NFL player. And he's had several really good ones. Jameson Williams, 4 catches, 47 yards, 11.8 yards per catch. While Josh Reynolds is over here with 20. Not really the game you expect to be the Jameson Williams coming out party, but contested catches, just spectacular catch. Jukes guys out of their shoes along the sideline for some extra yardage. It really just, he looked like a very dangerous NFL player. And this was probably the first time you could say that for more than a snap or 2 in a game. So love what you're seeing out of him right now. Let's hope that continues. What else do we have here? Not really much on offense. Let's check the defensive stats. Ifeatu Melifonwu wins this week's Roy Kent. Ash Thompson presents the Roy Kent Award. Go see Ifeatu Melifonwu this week. All over the field, all over the place. Every time you're like, oh, who did that? It was him. Almost without fail. Guy got a sack. Guy got 8 tackles. What more could you possibly want from this man? Like, yeah, even the touchdown he gave up, he was all over the receiver. The other professional athletes just occasionally make a play. It's just a thing that happens to defensive players. Anzalone all over the place, 12 tackles on the day. What more can you say about that? Nice to see Josh Pascal show up on the stat sheet as opposed to just being an E for effort guy, because when a second round pick is an E for effort guy, it's not what you want. If that makes sense. Jack Campbell, not instigating, but finishing a lot of plays was a nice thing to see. And honestly, like in terms of stats, that's pretty much it. So why did the Lions offense fail in the first quarter? Like what was weird? And it's kind of neat because I think what it looked like to me is they were running plays a lot of the time for what they expected the defense to be doing. But the thing is, the Broncos, like I've been saying for weeks now, that in that first Bears game, they gave the NFL a template for how to beat the Detroit Lions. The Broncos didn't follow that template, and it looked to me like the Lions at the beginning of this game expected them to, and they were running plays that expected what they had been seeing from other teams. And for whatever reason, they did not get that. And then they adjusted, and it was just a constant barrage of in-breaking patterns, which is the bread and butter of Jared Goff. That is the thing that he is exceptionally successful at, is everything that comes in. Like literally any depth of field, if it is a pattern that cuts in, like on the, forget what quarter it was in, I want to say third quarter, there was a drive with 2 passes to Amon-Ra St. Brown that basically looked like the exact same play. And it's kind of interesting because that the play that I did the Telestrator breakdown on last week, it wasn't that exact play, but they achieved all the same objectives with that play in terms of what they were doing with the other receivers on the field. Instead of having Josh Reynolds be the clear out guy, it was Sam Laporta. But the receiver on the other side also ran a deep pattern, and then someone was running deep way out here. And then in comes Amon-Ra St. Brown into the huge tracts of land that I was referring to that day. You just love to see it. I am traveling. You may have noticed a slightly different background behind me, sitting at a kind of weird angle. I'm going to record as many of these as I can. There may be days where I don't show up. So, and they're probably going to be shorter, because, I mean, it's the holiday season. That is why I'm traveling, is to visit human beings. But I'm going to pop these out. Should be regular. Tomorrow we're going to do around the division. And I think we're all going to be very happy with the magic number on that one.